By the end of this video, you will know how to shift into a new level of consciousness. So today we're talking all about raising our consciousness, getting to new levels of consciousness. But how do we do that? I wanted to share a story about me. When I grew up, I was a really shy kid. I actually recall my grandmother, she would never get angry at me. I'd never hear her yell. I was really close with her. The only time I ever recall her getting angry, and it scared me to be honest, was when she saw me so shy that I couldn't speak to people that she'd want to introduce me to. I grew up really afraid of other people. I was a social hermit. I didn't really connect well with other kids at school. In fact, I was bullied quite severely. And this went on for years, and I was that kid at school that had no friends. It really progressed into adulthood, and it started to manifest itself in different ways. One way was depression, anxiety, and I knew intrinsically, though, that there was greatness inside. I knew that I was here for a purpose. I knew that there was something more to my life than just existing in the shadows. So about 10 years ago, I had what many of you would refer and recognize as a true awakening experience. You see, through my awakening experience, I began to realize that there was no need to have this shyness, that I wasn't looking for validation. I wasn't looking for approval anymore out of all of these external relationships. So the shyness began to dissipate. And not only did it affect this area of my life, it began to affect significantly other areas of my life. You know, I struggled with anxiety and depression. Those things began to dissipate in their intensity because my consciousness was raising. So this video is about raising our level of consciousness. How can you raise your level of consciousness? Maybe you relate to that story about being different. You probably grew up very different than those around you, your siblings, people in your life, and you felt like I did, where you were isolated. Well, now is the time, as you going through this collective awakening process. I think it's happening in two ways. One way is it's happening personally. We're being challenged personally to go to higher states of consciousness. The second way that it is happening is it's happening collectively. We are moving collectively as humanity into a higher vibrational field. And so we are moving at a fast and rapid pace, and it's exciting. It's a really exciting thing. We are transversing that negative energy right now. We are moving through to higher states of consciousness. A part of that shift, although maybe not desirable, is that as we go through it, all the shadows are beginning to come up. It's like when you put on a blender and you hit the blend button, all the stuff gets pushed with intensity to the surface. It gets shaked up, it's violent, it moves around, it's noisy. That's where we are right now. That is the position that we find ourselves in right now. But you know, when the blender stops and all the things subside, then peace comes. Can you feel the energy shifting? Can you notice that the energy is beginning to shift to a higher state of consciousness? Are you experiencing the shift right now in your life? I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. I know recently a lot of you have, you've shared with me. I'm hearing you on social media talk about the negativity and how scary and confronting that can be. And we've all been there. So don't be afraid of the negativity. We are just purging shadows. But what will emerge on the other side is an awakened humanity, a more evolved humanity. Like me, you can make these personal shifts in your life. Your awakening experience might just be beginning. You might be in the start of your journey, or Perhaps you've been on that journey for many years. It doesn't really matter. Many are not evolving, which is okay. Many are choosing not to evolve. And Dolores Cannon shared this in her book, The Convoluted Universe. Some would not be ready to raise their vibration and go to a higher state of vibration. And they're choosing to leave the planet in various ways. There is no reason to fear though, because everything is choice. You have a choice, I've got a choice. We choose every day which direction that our life goes. I would imagine that most of you though, you're watching this video because you're beginning to go through this evolutionary process. Another thing Dolores shared in her book via a client was that the human body through this transition and change was going to become more transparent, that the light that is within us would begin to be seen and visible on the outside. So there are many changes that we're going to be going through. And although it may be confronting right now, as these changes occur, we change with it. Not only is humanity evolving to a higher state, into a new dimension, so is the planet that we live on. And as the planet goes through this vibrational shift into a new dimension, there are going to be many earth changes. And I know that we can look around and we can start to see already that those changes are occurring. You know, I live here in Australia and it never happens that we have earthquakes. And only a month or so ago, we had a big earthquake here. The earth is changing. The earth is evolving. We're seeing earth changes playing out. So rather than fearing these things, know that they are a signpost of something great that is coming. I think when we are optimistic and we know what the outcome will be, we can change our relationship with the going through. So that's why I'm making these videos right now, is to help you change your perspective as we go through these changes. There is nothing to ultimately fear, but we are going through something significant. We're going to see, like the blender, a stirring up, a violent stirring up perhaps, of old energies, of shadows, of the dark side of humanity. But know this, that we are moving into a much higher vibration. And if you are needing support along the way, perhaps it's QHHT, which Dolores developed. Maybe it's hypnotherapy. Maybe it's some coaching. You can contact me. I'll leave a link in the description. I'll see you in the next video.